A rose is a rose is a rose. So said the American poetess Gertrude Stein in an attempt to capture some of the mysterious appeal of what is and always has been the world's favorite flower. The ancient Chinese cultivated roses, and so too did the ancient Egyptians, who buried them with their pharaohs. Prodigal Romans strewed them about their banqueting halls and dropped the petals in their wine. This touch of extravagance is part of the rose's fascination even today. This is the Valley of Roses in central Bulgaria. Bounded on one side by the Balkans and on the other by the Sredna Gora range, it traps the morning mist of the Bulgarian summer and distills it into the sweetest smelling commercial crop to be found anywhere in the world. Farmers here grow roses just like farmers elsewhere grow corn or potatoes. The valley is in fact one giant rose bed, 150 kilometers long and up to 20 kilometers wide. At harvesting time, the roses are gathered like any other crop, except that the girls wear national costume. A commercial operation becomes part of a folk festival. No rose without a thorn, no rose field, unfortunately, without the smoking chimney of the distillation plant. There are several plants like this, bringing a small but vital whiff of industry to the perfumed air of the Valley of Roses. Rose petals are brought here by the sackful and emptied into huge metal stills for distillation. These fragile, fragrant petals are the raw materials of an industry whose end product is more valuable than gold. Not any roses can be used, only the few varieties known as oil-bearing. Once in the still, the petals are heated to drive off their essential oils. It's a process which the Bulgarians have been mastering ever since the 17th century, when the oil-bearing Damascus rose was first introduced into the country. According to legend, the secret of rose oil was discovered accidentally by a Persian princess who ordered all fountains and pools in her palace to be filled with rose water. That is, rose petals simply mixed with water. Walking through the gardens one hot day, she noticed a froth on the surface of the water. Skimming it off, she found it had a delicious perfume and named it attar after her husband. The name is still used today. The Bulgarian rose attar is produced by a process of double distillation. It takes 3 tons of rose petals to make just 1 kilo of attar. Ideal climatic conditions and a carefully developed technology have now made Bulgaria the world's leading producer and exporter of the precious liquid. Stocks of attar awaiting export are kept in a safe in large bottles known as kumkums. Mixed with white wax, the rose oil makes an excellent cold cream. It also goes into many perfumes and other toilet preparations. Any woman who's ever worn French perfume has almost certainly worn some Bulgarian attar of roses, since it's an essential ingredient of almost every good perfume. The French produce some of their own attar at Grasse in the south of France, but they still need the quantity and the quality produced in the Valley of Roses. Meanwhile, the Bulgarians have an expanding market for their own branded perfumes. Apart from being a production centre, the Valley of Roses is also a research centre where experimental work is done on producing improved strains. Roses are bisexual, each one being able to fertilise itself, so in artificial breeding, parent plants are chosen from suitable types and one is made female by removing the male stamens. The remaining female pistils are then covered up to protect them from pollen borne by an insect or by the wind. Fertilization can't proceed straight away, so in the meantime, pollen is collected from the plant chosen as the male parent. This golden yellow dust could contain a brand new type of rose, but the odds against that happening are something like 10,000 to 1. What it certainly will produce is a slightly modified plant, which, with luck, will have more of the qualities which the breeders are looking for. Several hours, sometimes it can be days, after the mother plant has been emasculated, the protective bag is removed and the chosen pollen is applied to the pistils. After that, it's largely a question of letting nature take its course. For the people who live and work in the Valley of Roses, the harvest celebrations are the high point of the year. Rose Day itself is preceded by an evening of fireworks and dancing. During the evening, a local girl is crowned as Rose Queen to preside over the festivities. The following day is given over to more dancing and processions. These are the kukri dances, pagan symbols of fertility. A gracious queen for what the Greek poetess Sappho called the Queen of Flowers. According to a Turkish legend, the first rose grew from the spot where a bead of sweat fell from Muhammad's brow. And even now, the rose festivities are a curious mixture of pagan and religious elements. Roses as a species are considerably older than man. They've been growing on Earth for at least 40 million years, and probably a great deal longer than that. For generations, they've brought prosperity to this part of Bulgaria, prosperity which not even wars have been allowed to interrupt. So on Rose Day each June, the Valley of Roses has plenty to celebrate.